Welcome back to the Life Legacy Podcast. Today is going to be an interesting one. I want to give you the thing that has changed my life, where it has moved the needle more for me than about anything else. And so I want to dive into this. I talked about it a tiny bit on social media, and it got a lot of responses of wanting to understand more. And so today I am going to dive into how I weekly plan. And why is this important? Why does weekly planning matter? First off, if you take life and just normality of the world, look at the studies. The average life and the studies behind it and the stats show that we're on a spiritual decline, physical decline, mental decline, relationships, everything is declining. So you're pretty much in a river going downhill to living an average life unless you design your world, and your life is so important. But if you don't put an importance of making goals and changing the trajectory of your life to pointing it with a vision, you're just going to become like another statistic. And I want anything and everything to make sure that that does not happen. And weekly planning and annual planning have been some of the things that have moved the needle more for me than anything else. So I'm just going to do a quick episode and dive into how I personally do my weekly planning. And I'm a weirdo. I do things in weird ways. But I will say I am a student of weekly planning, as in I have studied some of the most effective ways to do it from some of the greatest leaders that you have heard of. And so this is a mix of everything that I've learned from other people that have executed life on a very high level, while adding in Jaxon Cummings to the mix. And so this is what I love to do. So I get really intentional, and I try to do this every Sunday. But in reality, I probably end up doing this type of weekly planning once or twice a month. But this is how you can start a Monday where you are on fire. People hate Mondays. I love Mondays because the night before I do my weekly planning and I'm stoked for what's to come. So I'm just going to dive into it. So to start, I actually put on really calm music and I drive from my house to the temple. Why I go to the temple? I think God is our greatest board advisor, and I want to utilize him in helping me plan my week. So I show up, I start with a prayer, and then I get right into trying to improve the state and my energy that I'm in. And so one of the best things that I do when I show up to the temple, there's this Tony Robbins 15-minute priming exercise, and I'll put it in the links below so that you guys can do it. It's going to feel weird the first couple times, but it puts you in this meditation where you are very planted, and you're primed to do and care about what's most important. So it's a good place to put your head in. It takes 15 minutes. After that, I review my personal mission statement. And if you haven't made a mission statement, that's okay. But again, this is about vision, where you're taking your life and what your whys are. And so I have my own declaration of the next 3 years of what I care about and how I'm going to achieve those things. Then I will review my patriarchal blessing. Patriarchal blessing is a special blessing where there's a patriarch who has a special gift to have some insight into your world and your life. And so this is, again, aligning with God. This is my thing of what I do. Then after that, it's like, okay, let's dive into the planning part. I'm in a good mental state. I'm primed. I'm ready to go. Then I review my vision and my goals, and that's what I do for the year, the goals of the year. Then from there, I look to my last week and I think about what went well, what didn't, what lessons can I carry forward. Then I dive into identity statements. So some of the strongest words you can put out into the world is I am. And so I will write down about 10 identity statements, for example, like I'm a leader, I'm one of God's trusted soldiers, I am a disruptive entrepreneur, and just name the things. I'm a great family member. I am a value adding leader to society. And just dive in, do 10, 15 of those, and then I go straight to what gets me excited. Like, what do I love in life? If you're not living in a mode where you are loving your life and you're not super excited about what you're doing, I think it's time to reevaluate some of those moments in life and make sure that you have things that make you excited, that you get to work on and grow. So, some of the ones that I love is traveling. I will always have a travel plan within the next 3 months because it just gives me something to look forward to when life is starting to get a little blah or kind of hard in work or relationships, whatever. I love deep conversations. I host a podcast, and it's just in who I am and serving others, creating, and I just list it out, and it goes on from there. I've now listed who I am, what I'm excited for. Now let's get a little bit present of what's going on currently in my life. So I will write down what are my biggest opportunities. And so just take a second, think what are your biggest opportunities? And in the different facets of life, and I'll break them down into these facets of life, which it's spiritual, your physical body, personal development, relationship with a significant other, your family, your profession, and career. Almost everything that really matters is in those spheres of life. So, it's like you might start dating someone that you really like, or my biggest opportunity could be to show more love to, like, it could be to share more love to your wife or husband. It could be to, there's a new work opportunity that you need to pounce on. And this will just help you prioritize what matters. Then I've added these last two, and these are my own that I really love, and it makes me set the bar really high for my week. And the first one is, what would my best self do this week? And this puts you in the state of like the top you, because sometimes we'll hit a day and you get going in the day, and at the end of the day, you know that you were a little lazy or you held back. And then you know the difference when you hit the pillow and you're like, that was a day. I gave it my all. And so this question has helped me raise my floor of what I can do. Then I always care to, and I'm not perfect in any shape or form, but I care to align my life with God's will. And so the question and a thought that I have is, Jesus is the answer to all things. So I think one of the most critical questions that I ask is, what would Jesus have me do this week? And this opens up my mind into a lot more outward mindset. And I end up adding a couple tasks or things that I should focus on throughout time that helps me in my relationships and all the things that matter. Jesus is the answer, and I believe that with all my heart. And if you need more joy and happiness and peace, I would ask yourself that question and just watch what happens if you're willing to put in the work. From there, I also just have a normal life where I have a bunch of random to-do lists where I might need to get an oil change. I might need to do, whatever. And there's certain things that are already lined up. And then I organize all of those into my life categories, which I talked about, but as spiritual, physical, personal development, relationships with significant other, family, profession, and career. Then you need to time block it. And this is where I live off my calendar. I don't know if you're like that or not. And if you're not, I don't know how you live. You're just probably better at prioritizing things. But I have to put it in my calendar or it's really hard. And so I time block in all the different assets or different categories of my life, and I make sure I make enough time for each of them. And that's how I'm successful at hitting on my big opportunities, living an exciting, fun, enjoyable life while also prioritizing my vision, my mission statement, what really matters to me and what matters to God. From there, I'll organize it and I put it into a Google Doc, and then I copy that Google Doc over to my notes on my phone. And then I take a screenshot of my notes on my phone and I put it as my wallpaper. I do this to just keep it forefront of your mind. And this is where the reticular activating system really gets engaged. And for those that haven't heard of that, that's my favorite part of the brain, where it helps you filter out what's important and what is not. And so right now, as you're watching this or listening to this, you can see a million things, and your brain has to filter out what's most important and what is not. And so when you've gotten like a new car, or there's been a change, you're going to start seeing these cars more like everywhere. So like when I bought my car I'm currently driving, I started seeing these cars everywhere. And I was like, dang, everyone just bought with me. But in reality, just my reticular activating system now knows that this is important. And so when you put your goals on your phone, where every time you open up your phone and see your goals, it's going to help you actually care about those goals and achieve them, instead of just writing them down and then putting them on a bookshelf in a journal or something. So I have that outline, and I can send that to you. If you want me to send that to you, just DM me after and I'll send you a Google Doc with this. But a quick overview: I show up to the temple, then I say a prayer, then I prime my mind with this Tony Robbins 15-minute priming exercise. I review my mission statement. I review my patriarchal blessing. I review my vision and goals for this year. I do identity statements, the I am statements, what gets me excited, my biggest opportunities, and then I ask, what would my best self do this week, and what would Jesus have me do this week? From there, I add my to-do list, and then I take them and I categorize them all into the categories that I talked about. Then I time block it into my calendar to make sure that I actually do them. And then I take that Google Doc, I forward it to my notes. Then from my notes, I have it as my screensaver. I would say, since my mission, this has been the thing that has helped me progress most in life to actually achieve the things that I care to achieve. Another thing, when it comes to weekly planning and perfectionism, just aim for 80%. Shoot for the moon and hit the stars. Like go big. Try and plan a big week. And that's when you're going to be like almost intimidated by what's to come, and you know you're going to push yourself. But if you fall short, just realize you're human, and that's okay. This is just something that is going to help you achieve more than what you would have achieved by trying. And failure is so misunderstood. The paradigm shift that I wish everyone could have is understanding that failure is the stepping stones to get to success. So enjoy failure. That's a hard sentence to wrap your head around. But when you're failing, just try and enjoy it, and just know like you'll look back and you'll laugh, or you'll look back and you'll learn. And so failure is a positive thing. And for that reason, go all out. And if you fall short, you have next week to keep those things and push them to the next week. So this is just a quick episode on how I structure my life and a little bit of my process. Love you guys at home. Thanks for watching.